Tuesday of the 28th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes, for Jew first and then Greek. For in it is revealed the righteousness of God from faith to faith. As it is written, the one who is righteous by faith will live. The wrath of God is indeed being revealed from heaven against every impiety and wickedness of those who suppress the truth by their wickedness. For what can be known about God is evident to them, because God made it evident to them. Ever since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes of eternal power and divinity have been able to be understood and perceived in what He has made. As a result, they have no excuse, for although they knew God, they did not accord Him glory as God, or give Him thanks. Instead, they became vain in their reasoning, and their senseless minds were darkened. While claiming to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for the likeness of an image of mortal man, or of birds, or of four-legged animals, or of snakes. Therefore God handed them over to impurity through the lusts of their hearts, for the mutual degradation of their bodies. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and revered and worshipped the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, the heavens proclaim the glory of God. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims His handiwork. Day pours out the word to day, and night to night imparts knowledge. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. Not a word nor a discourse whose voice is not heard. Through all the earth their voice resounds, and to the ends of the world their message. The heavens proclaim the glory of God.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. After Jesus had spoken, a Pharisee invited him to dine at his home. He entered and reclined at table to eat. The Pharisee was amazed to see that he did not observe the prescribed washing before the meal. The Lord said to him, "O you Pharisees, although you cleanse the outside of the cup and the dish, inside you are filled with plunder and evil. You fools! Did not the maker of the outside also make the inside? But as to what is within, give alms, and behold, everything will be clean for you." The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from the letter to the Romans, chapter 1, verses 16 to 25. Remember, the Roman community was founded by Jewish Christian missionaries from Jerusalem, but the majority of the Romans were probably Gentile converts. And so, when Paul addresses this letter, he has to address both to Gentile Christians and to Jewish Christians. He begins by saying that salvation first came to the Jews and then to the Greeks. The Greeks is simply a way of saying the pagans. And therefore, he'll begin with the pagans, those who received the message last. He says they should have been able to see in creation that it is creation, that there's somebody behind it. And in fact, they saw that. But instead of worshiping the Creator, they worshiped the creature. They worshiped God under the form of animals. Now there's a lesson that the rabbis give that as the sin, so the punishment. When the Egyptians worshipped animals, they were punished by a number of plagues, which included a lot of plagues involving animals. Well, in this case, because the Romans worshipped animals, they became beast-like. They gave themselves up to conduct which is not even human, and therefore they are fully deserving of God's punishment. Because they should have worshipped the Creator, they knew better, they didn't. Now what's interesting, in the letter to the Galatians, Paul says almost the opposite. He says that the pagans, before the message of God came along, really didn't know what they were doing, so they're not really fully responsible. Here, he turns the argument on its head, and he says they should have known. The Gospel is from Luke 11:37 to 41. Jesus goes to the house of a Pharisee, and the Pharisees are very scrupulous in their observance of the law. In fact, they take the law beyond what is written to what they say is the spirit behind the law. So, for example, it's written that you should wash your hands before you worship in the temple. And they say, well, when you eat a meal at home, it's almost as if you're worshiping. Therefore, you should wash up carefully before you eat the meal. What does Jesus say? You're observing external actions, but you don't have the interior conversion. You wash the outside of the cup and the plate, but you yourself, inside, have extortion and wickedness. You should give alms. That would be a sign of your interior conversion. Then don't worry about those external things. They're not that important. What is truly important is that we love God and love neighbor in our hearts, and we express that in the way we live. And so this is a reminder that our faith cannot simply be a question of observing the devotions, of going to Mass on time, things like that. It also has to be something which shows that these spiritual actions have an effect on our hearts. That we want not only to do external actions, but also have the interior conversion. And may God bless us.